Thanks a lot. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So nice to talk with you all. So nice to present something in front of you all. So this session is basically planned for how to use an open source tool called Apache JMeter in performance testing, and what are the various opportunities that you can get with this tool, and how can you proceed with it. And just to give an introduction about Performance Complete. So Performance Complete is a software testing training institute which provides exclusive training, online trainings, and on-project support assignments to different customers across the globe. So you can approach Performance Complete for getting any training if you want to upskill your tools, like if you want to upskill you yourself into an automation tool. It can be any tool like automation, performance testing, security testing. All those upskilling activities will be taken care of by Performance Complete. And it has all sorts of supports like online trainings, YouTube videos, all those details. The key performance testing tool trainings they offer is a JMeter, that is beginner to master. It has two modes where you can get a beginner training. Also, you can get a master level where all advanced availabilities of JMeter will be discussed. Load Runner Expert, as you know, it's an industry leading tool. So if you want to be part of that Load Runner community, you can learn Load Runner. Neoload Professional, that is something really new to the market. So Neoload is a tool which is coming really nice into the market. So these are the three tools, actually the market leading tools. So all the support on these three tools are provided by Performance Complete. Okay. So moving to our topic, I know some of you may be already using JMeter in your projects, but some people will be really new into JMeter. So considering the wider audience, the generic audience, I would like to explain the performance testing concept a bit before deep diving into JMeter topics. And if I am going too fast, please feel free to stop and ask if anything that really gives a confusion to your mind. I would like to know that everybody is on the same page. Okay, so some of you may be from a functional testing background, automation background, or some of you may be beginners in performance testing. So what do you mean by a performance testing? So we test our application in our QA environment functionally, and once we finish the functional testing, we move the application to automation testing, where we convert all of our functional test cases to automation scripts. You can be using any tools like Selenium, Postman, so different tools are there. And once you finish automation testing as well, you can say that your application is functionally complete. That means all the functionalities, all the workflows, all the calculations, logics, everything work fine in your application. But when your application is going to the production, that means the live environment where number of users are going to hit your system, you want to know what is the performance that you are going to get from your application in terms of its stability, in terms of its speed, scalability, and responsiveness. For an example, you take the example of an Amazon Big Billion Day. So Amazon opens the Big Billion Day, and they don't have any idea about how many people are going to hit their system on that Big Billion Day. And we all know we wait for that day to do a bulk purchase. And how can they predict the amount of user load that is going to hit their system? And if they don't have the sufficient support, you know that their application is going to crash. There are very reasonable examples for that. The mobile app that our government has introduced for the BevCo, I think it was not properly engineered initially, so that is the reason why it got crashed when number of users jumped into the application when it was launched in. So performance testing is a non-functional software testing technique that determines how the stability, speed, scalability, and responsiveness of an application holds up under a workload. So as the name suggests, if you want to test these parameters of an application, you have to get the support of a tool. Manually, you'll not be able to get it. if you want to know what is the manual, if you want to know what is the response of the application when number of users are hitting, either you have to do a pilot run, like revealing the application to some portion of customers and asking them to work on the application at the same point of time, or else you have to handle that many number of testers. But both of those are not possible. So that's the reason why people run behind these kind of tools. So JMeter is a tool that really helps you to create this workload and put your application under testing workloads and see how the application responds. So it not only supports to generate the load, but it also supports to analyze the application. When you put that much of load on your application, how your application is behaving, what is the response time, do we have any crash points, is the servers are going red hot, are they good or not? So all those informations we can fetch, all those informations we can see by the help of this tool. So a quick glimpse on a typical application architecture. So if you look at the picture, you could see that this is a 3-tier system where we have 3 separate layers in an application, like a web server, app server, and database. Those people who already know architecture, you'll get a quick connect. So web server is a place where we have all the front end code, the base and the servers for the application. So all the some of people who is working on the React JS, you'll be able to understand it. So all the front end related codes, images, ping files, all those things that goes to the web server. The web server is the first person that interact with the end user. So when we send a request to any application, the request actually goes to the web server. And from web server, the request goes to the app server, which I call it as the brain of an application, where the entire application code is lying. So if the application is, say, for a logistic application for booking a flight ticket, so all the code, all the workflows, functionalities, all those pieces of code that lies on the app server, it is also called as middleware. And from that, it goes to the database layer, the final layer where the entire data storage, data updation, data deletion, everything happens. So typically when we try to log in to an application, I'm sending a username, a password, and that request goes to the web server, and the web server does the initial validation, whether it is a valid request, a write request. Then the request goes to the app server with the information that is coming from the web server. App server does all the logic activities, whether it is an active user, valid user, like that. And if any data fetches that request needs require to take it from the database, the request goes from app server to database server and connects back. So imagine whenever you try to connect your application, that request is going through all these cycles from web server, app server to database, and it comes back. So when you see when you try to log into your application, it takes around 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You just imagine that all those 10 seconds are spread across 3 servers. So it might be spending 2 seconds in web server, 3 seconds in app server, remaining 5 seconds in web server. So when you hit a performance issue, that issue can be on any of the servers. It can be on the web server, app server, database, or maybe it can be on the network side. So that is where the performance testing really comes into picture. So you cannot easily figure it out where the issues are. So you have to do a proper testing and analysis for understanding these kind of issues. And that is where tools like JMeter, LoadRunner all comes into picture. Okay. So this is the concepts of performance testing and an application architecture. I know I just touched the glimpse, so I'm thinking that you all got a fair idea about what we are going to test with JMeter and how we are going to test it. Okay, so next is the history of JMeter. I know that so many people has confusions. I also heard a couple of questions. How can we install JMeter? How can we download JMeter? So it's a purely open source tool. So you don't have to pay anything for working with JMeter. So a bit of history of JMeter. That is Stefano Masucci, the Apache Software Foundation, was the original developer of JMeter. That guy has developed JMeter to test their Tomcat servers. It was not planned to release as a tool. So they developed a tool for their own testing purpose, and later on they have released it as a tool with some limitations. And as right now, Apache JMeter is a testing tool that is used for analyzing and measuring the performance of different software services and products. So when I say software services, you can test websites, you can test APIs like Postman or UI. You can directly test the APIs. It need not be hosted over a website, and you can directly test your databases. It's not needed that you need to test you through the application. You can directly go and connect with your databases. And FTP servers you can test. So all those possibilities are there in JMeter. It's a pure Java-based software, and your machine has to be Java supporting if you want to work with JMeter. And being an open source tool, as I said, it's freely available. Anyone can download it. Anyone can work on it. Only the knowledge matters. Money doesn't matter here. So if you have the right knowledge and the right direction, you can always work with JMeter. And it has a simple and intuitive GUI. It's a very beautiful, smooth GUI, no confusions. It's a straightforward one, and we can jump into it right now. And it's not like JMeter can be used for performance testing, but it also can be used for automation testing as well, because some recent updates in JMeter helps you to write some Selenium kind of code in JMeter. So I just want to let you know that that is the applicability of JMeter. It's not a limited tool. The limitation of JMeter is actually on top of the person who is using it. So if you know the depth and analysis about JMeter, I think you can use JMeter at different extents. And it's highly integratable with all the CI/CD pipelines like Jenkins, GitHub, Bitbucket. All those tools can be easily integrated with JMeter. So I'll show you regarding the installation requirements and supporting environments. I'll show you quickly before we go to the tool. So a quick explanation of the concepts and the elements of JMeter. I always say that JMeter is kind of a brick kind of a work. So while we constructing a house, we put one brick on top of another brick. So that's how JMeter scripts also really comes in. So it's an element architecture. So it's like a right-click architecture. So you right-click and you select the element which you need, and you add it to your script. So if you are planning for a script, you create a login element, and after the login element, you create an element for the home. And then after the home element, you create the element for a create a customer. So create different elements and you add those like a flow chart. So that's how the scripts and load JMeter comes in. Okay. So these are different components in JMeter, and let's quickly go through those, and I'll show all these components in our tool as well. So the first one is a test plan. So test plan is nothing but simply a bucket in JMeter where all of your scripts, all of your thread groups, everything comes under test plan. So you can have you can keep test plan as a project. You can keep test plan for individual modules. So that's completely up to you. Thread group. So whenever you hear threads in JMeter, you just imagine that it is a number of users. So if you want to test the application for 50 users, 50 is your threads. So thread means number of users in JMeter. So thread group means that is the configuration module for controlling the number of users and your scenarios in JMeter. And moving on to samplers, the first and the very important component in JMeter is the samplers. So samplers in JMeter allows to send different types of requests. So if you want to send a website request like HTTP, HTTPS, you have to use HTTP sampler. Similarly, if you want to test FTP servers or database servers, so there are different dedicated samplers for all these workflows. So you have to select those accordingly. The second one is logic controllers. So as you know, your performance testing script has to be traveling in different logics. For an example, you are logging into an application and you are doing some transaction and you are logging out. So it's not like for every time you are logging in and doing the transactions and logging out. So it is like you are logging in and you are doing some transactions for some 10 to 15 minutes. Then only you are logging out. That's how normally people interact with softwares and applications. So if you want to create the same kind of behavior in your JMeter script, you have to use specific logic controllers, like logging in, putting the transactions in a loop, let them run for the 10 to 15 minutes, then you try a logout. So to enable those kind of logics, those kind of controls, you have to use the logic controllers. Listeners called the reports. So these are the reports graphs that is available in JMeter, or else you can save results into different files. So all those result analysis reports, validating the data, all those comes under listeners module. Configuration elements. So if you have any variables, like if you want to read data from a CSV file, or if you want to configure any other parameters like random variables, all those configuration things comes in configuration elements. Assertions, if you want to add any assertions, for an example, you are logging in, so you want to make sure that your home page loaded successfully. So you want to assert something, whether I have logged in properly, whether I have the login page there. So all those kind of things comes in assertions. It's also known as the functional validation. If you want to validate that you are hitting the right step and getting the right results. Timers, a very important feature. So each user works with different patterns. So I'm a person who's like quickly go through the applications, but some of you may be having a practice of going through the applications with the proper time. For an example, logging in, making sure that everything is available there, and then you choose your second button click. Again, you wait for some time. So the think time, that means the time duration between your clicks on your application is different for different users. So when you emulate, when you run a test for 50 users, 100 users, the time duration, the timing between each of the requests is really important. So if you don't put any timers, the tools will be immediately firing a request by request. For example, request 1, 2, 3. If you don't have a timer in between, as soon as the request 1 get completed, request 2 will be fired. As soon as the request 2 is finished, request 3 gone. So to avoid that, we have to add timers in between our transactions. So that is what the timers are. So there are various possible timers are there in JMeter, which you can add your scripts accordingly. And processors, very important. So there are so many things which happens dynamically inside your application, like encryptions, a dynamic variable, the values which is getting generated during the runtime. All those kind of things are handled in preprocessors and post-processor. Preprocessors can be also considered as the prerequisites for your scripts. Okay. So I know this leaves a couple of confusions in some of your mind, but I hope all those things are going to be cleared when we see the tool demo. Okay, so let's go to the tool demo. And before going to the tool demo, first I'll show you how to get this JMeter downloaded. So you can go to the Apache JMeter website, and there you can get download releases. So in this download releases option, you can get all the latest releases of Apache JMeter. So as a prerequisite, you could see that it requires Java 8+. So 5.4.1 is the very latest one. So this JMeter version comes up with a lot of UI changes. So they have beautified a couple of UI parts, few additional parameters are coming up. So always keep an eye on the latest releases. They used to keep on release latest versions. I started somewhere around 3 points. So you know that how many versions has came up. And there are two ones, binaries and source. So you can always go for binaries if you're using a Windows machine, because binaries is the version of JMeter which is a compiled one. But if you have a compiler in your own machine, then you can go for the source. So those people who are working from Linux, they can go for source as well. So you just download the zip file. So that comes like a folder like this. So once you unzip it, so this is the folder. Okay. So this is the folder structure of JMeter. So you could see that there is a bin folder. So inside the bin folder, there are so many functions are there. So if you go to a jmeter.bat file, so this, if you double click the jmeter.bat file, JMeter opens up for you. So this is as simple as that. You need not install anything. Just make sure that you have the proper Java installed. You have the proper Java version. And if you have the proper Java version, just download the zip file of JMeter. You can double click on jmeter.bat. JMeter will open up for you. And let me tell you, JMeter has two modes of operation. So it has a UI, so you can operate JMeter from the UI, but also you can operate JMeter from the command prompt itself. Maybe I can show you at the end of the session how to handle JMeter through command prompt. Okay, so let me zoom in. Fine, perfect. So now let's go to the JMeter tool. And yeah, I was telling you, right? So the test plan is a bucket. So if I want to add, so this is how JMeter goes. So if you want to add a thread group under a test plan, you right click, you go to the threads, and you go to the thread group. If you want to add a sampler, so you can add it under the thread group. So you go to right click, samplers, you can get n number of samplers. All these are samplers available in JMeter. These are the logic controllers, preprocessor. So as I said, timers. So anything which you want to add your script, you just right click and you add it. Wherever you want to add it, on top of that, you have to right click and you have to add it to your script. Okay. So this is the JMeter UI. I think it's visible to everyone. And let me know if you have any problems in seeing this. Okay. And a few more things on JMeter before we go for a direct recording. So so if you are working with a web application, you have the provisions to record your transactions, or else you can directly script it. So there are two modes in JMeter. One is you can record your actions so that JMeter will capture all the activities that you do on your application, and you can convert those into a script. So when you record, you will be getting an application skeleton. After that, you have to enhance it. I'll show you how to do that. So don't be worried on that. And second thing is when you have APIs like Postman collection, SOAP UIs, all those, you can directly script it. You can directly create APIs. Maybe in future we will be having a separate session for API where we can show you how to create an API script and how to handle the parameters. Okay. So before going to the recording, let me show you what are we trying to record. Okay. So there is a demo app called OpenCard. So we have a performance testing requirement where we want to know that how much time is taken to load this website. Okay, so the requirement is we want to know that what is the loading time of this app, and also if a person comes and clicks on the MacBook, how much time is taken to load this MacBook and how much time is taken to load this Add to Cart. So the requirement that is in front of us is to understand what is the performance of this application and how this application is behaving when a number of users are hitting the system. What is the response time in getting this MacBook opened, in getting this MacBook added to the cart, and do we face any errors, any functional problems or any errors or any security issues when we release the application for multiple users. So that is what we are going to test with. And so this is the workflow that we are going to record in our JMeter. Okay, so let me show you how this works. So there is a testing element. There is a test recorder element in JMeter that will help you to record the application. So those people who have worked with Selenium IDE, you guys know that if you enable the recording option, Selenium IDE is going to catch all the activities that happens, and all those recorded events will be shown in your script. Similarly, JMeter also works like that. So it has a recording module. So you have to enable the recording module and you have to do your activities. Make sure that you do the exact functionality that is required for your performance testing script. Any additional step that you do when you record, all those are going to be getting recorded into your JMeter script. Later on, it is going to be a burden that you have to sit and analyze. And in some cases, it might ended up in re-scripting or re-recording it. Okay. And also you just need to make sure that application functionally fits before you're recording it, because while recording, if you get any functional errors, that is also going to come into your JMeter script. Okay. So there are two ways of adding it. In test plan, if you right click on there is a non-test element. Inside that you can get a test script recorder. So that is one way of adding it. And another way of adding it is JMeter has some templates. If you go to the second icon, there is templates. So JMeter has some list of templates. So Okay, JMeter has a list of templates where you can go and see that there are different templates are there. Inside that there is a recording template. So you choose the recording template and you create it. You give a sample name, and when you push create, JMeter will create a template for you. So see, these are the thread groups, like the different thread groups are there, and this is the test script recorder. So you will get it as a template. The advantage of template is you get a lot of configuration elements with the template. Otherwise, you have to manually add those. So there are some configuration elements for request defaults, cookie manager, even for cache management that is there. And it comes with a thread group. It gives you a recording controller. It gives you a view results tree. I'll tell you what this view results tree is all about, and a test script recorder. And the biggest advantage is this actually comes with some request filtering as well. I'll tell you what these details are. So all these things comes as a template. So rather you manually add, you can go and select a template, and that template will have all those required information. Okay. So how JMeter recording works is you have to set a proxy, and so JMeter communicates through a proxy. So you set the same proxy in your browser, and you tell that JMeter, this is the proxy that I have set in my browser, and you start JMeter's recording mode. All the requests that goes through that proxy will be captured by JMeter. I'll show you how to do that. So here I'm setting a proxy for JMeter, that is 8080, and I have given URL patterns to exclude. So there will be some patterns which we don't want to record. So any URL patterns that you want not to record, you keep in this patterns exclude. Or else there is another way of doing it. If you know that the specific URL patterns that you want to record, you can add it here. So this is how you can add the different patterns. So to avoid all those .js, ping, the font files, you can put it like this. Like our script will not go behind JS, CSS, GIF, like that. Okay. And now it is all on the browser. So you go to your browser and you go to the settings, go for the proxy, and you put the same port that is given in JMeter. So you tell browser that work from 8080, and you put localhost if your scripting is from your own machine. Okay. So you put localhost and you put the port. So now JMeter knows that all the requests that goes through 8080 port, JMeter has to capture. Make sure that you have the right permissions on your application, on your machine, to use the proxy, because some of the antiviruses or some of the security features does not allow you to edit proxy, update proxy. So you there are some workarounds. If your proxy is not enabled, still you can record with JMeter, but it's on the complex side. But if you have your ports are enabled, the easiest way of doing JMeter recording is this way. Okay. So now we have enabled the proxy, and we have kept our browser in the proxy mode. The same proxy, we have kept it here. And now we have to create transactions, because once we record it, we are going to do all the transactions. So we have to give some bucket elements for all those transactions. So the importance of transactions I'll explain. So I'm going to add a transaction here. That is a logic. Inside the logic controller, I'm going to add transaction controller. So as the name suggests, this actually helps to create and control your transactions. So now let me tell you what is a transaction. So we have seen that demo application where we have launched the application. So that app launch is a transaction. And we have clicked on the MacBook. That is the second transaction. Click the MacBook. And we have added that to the cart. That is our third transaction. So where this transaction naming comes important is when you finish your script and when you run a load test, the stakeholders will be always looking for how much time is taken for login, how much time is taken for adding the MacBook. So without defining the transactions, you can tell them whether it is fast, slow, it's a good or bad, like that. So if you want to specifically find out what is the response of the application on different pages, you have to create transactions, and that is purely based on your business requirements. If you want to know how much time is taking for login, you define login as a transaction. Generally, in your script, in your report, it will show as a transaction. Okay. So my first transaction is app launch. Okay. And I have the flexibility of copy pasting it. So I'm adding second transaction, that is my MacBook Click. And my third transaction is add to cart. And the last one is return home page. So one second. Okay. So I have defined 4 transaction controllers, and JMeter will allow me to record the scripts accordingly to these transaction controllers. I'll show you how to do that. And yes, okay. So if you go to the test script recorder, and if you go to test script recorder, you could see that there is an option called target controller. So if you give the target controller as a recording controller, whatever you do in your application, all those will be getting recorded inside the recording controller. Okay. And if you put app launch, then what all activities that you do on your browser, that will be getting recorded to your app launch. So this is like directing your recordings where you want to save your recordings. So this target controller actually tells JMeter that this is the target where you have to keep all the recordings. So I'll show you. Let me keep it as a recording controller, and I am going to click on the start button. So JMeter will be creating a root certificate in order to enable the capturing through the proxy. So you click OK, and it gives you a floating menu where you can give transaction names, details, all and all. And now we are in a recording mode in JMeter. And now I'm going to open up my browser. And if you go to JMeter, you could see that the recording controller has started getting the events. So all these are the events which is getting recorded in JMeter. So now I am going to launch my application. So I'll come here. I'll select app launch. Now I'll go back to my Mozilla. Let me copy the URL and paste it. So now I am hitting the application launch page. So the app has been launched. So if you go to JMeter, you could see that the app launch is being recorded. So we have two scripts is there. Now we just need to clean it up. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now we are going to our second transaction. So I'm coming here and I'm selecting my second transaction. So that is MacBook Click. I'm coming back and I'm going to click my Mac. And make sure that the page has completely loaded. All the requests, all the response has been received. Now you go back to your JMeter, you select the add to cart and you click on the add to cart. And now we can go to our final step, which is return to home. Okay, for going back to the home page, I'm clicking on your store. Okay, so now we are back to our home page. So to finish the recording, you just click on stop and you can remove the proxy from your browser. So once you finish the recording, so now we are done with our recording. And if you look at, you could see that there are so many unwanted requests are there. So those are because I have so many plugins in my Mozilla. So all of them will be interacting with it. So out of all these requests, the app launch request, if you go to the request, we can see that this is the demo open cart page. Okay. And this is the URL that we have hit. And each of the URL in JMeter that will be split into different sections. As you know, if you have a request like this, for example, I'm adding one more thing here. And testing, etc. Normally the request URLs will be coming like this. So this is having different split. So this is the protocol which we are using, HTTP like that. This is the domain server that you are hitting, demo open cart port. This is the path that you are hitting, and this is the port number. So this is how we can split a URL. Similarly, JMeter also splits a URL like that. So the port, the protocol will be coming here. Don't be surprised that this is not here, because we have a request default. So where here we can define the protocol. So all the requests will be using this protocol. Okay, and you come down here. So this is a server name that we are hitting with, and this is the port number that we are hitting, and this is the path. So this is how JMeter formulates a URL. Okay. So there are so we can see that all the requests has been got recorded. So if you go to the MacBook Click, you could see that this is the MacBook click request, where we are clicking a MacBook, where the request goes from the product, goes with the product ID. And let me tell you, the difference between JMeter recordings and Selenium is, when you work with an automation tool, the recordings are always happening from the front end. But when you work with JMeter, the recording actually goes from the back end. So this JMeter records the communication between the client and the server. So when I'm logging in from the front end, I'm only giving username and password and hitting on the login button. But when you look at your JMeter script, with the username and password, you can also see that some ID is also getting sent. So that ID is something that goes with the request from the backend. So JMeter actually starts from there. So don't get surprised by seeing these product IDs, session IDs in your JMeter script. That's the way how he works. So the product ID is there. So we have to do some cleanup on the script. We have to remove all these unwanted requests, and we have to keep all the requests with demo card. So for the time being, I'm already having a script which is prepared for you guys. The same recording. So if you look at the transactions, you could see that. So I have recorded app launch, MacBook click, add to cart, and return. So the launch request goes like this, MacBook click goes like this, and these are the two ones which is getting recorded at the time of adding into the cart, and this is the return request. You always make sure that after you record, you got all the enough transactions. And sometimes some of the requests may not be getting recorded. So you retry recording it, or even you can use the open source tools like Fiddler, or other tools also can be used. Okay. So now we have done the recording. So we have got the transactions in place. We have recorded all the elements. Now let's see how this runs. To see that, you have to add a listener. So for the first one, I'm going to add a view results tree. So as the name suggests, it's like a tree. It shows you everything. So view results tree is the detailed view of JMeter execution. When I say it's a detailed view, it shows you what is being sent, what is being received, what all parameters are sent, what all response are getting. So let me run this, and after that, I'm going to explain the thread group for you. So for running JMeter, you have two commands here. So you just hit on the run button, and you could see that all the requests are getting executed. So now we are done with our execution. So we can see the responses. By default, the response comes in text. So now I'm going to change it to HTML view. So now you could see that we have got the Yoast store, the application that we had hit. And here I'm selecting the MacBook. Okay, so if you come down, you could see that the MacBook has been selected. See, the MacBook is selected. Now I'm going to add to the cart. So this is successfully added to the cart. Okay, this is the response. And now we are again going back to the home page. So our script has recorded successfully, and we got all the transactions in place. Okay, so now we have to convert this into a performance testing scenario. So what is a performance testing scenario? So now we have converted the user interaction into a JMeter script. So now we have to define a performance testing scenario. So when you call a performance testing scenario, it contains different features, like a workflow, that is the JMeter script. It can be JMeter script or number of scripts. So you can create a performance testing scenario with number of interactions, like a typical banking application. So you can create scripts like one person doing the creation, one person doing the deposit creation, one person doing the gold pledging. So all those can be converted into scripts. So it depends upon what kind of scenario that you want to create. And the second one is number of users. How many number of users you want to test with? So you have a requirement where you are expecting some 100 users going to run a report. So what you want to do is you have to create a JMeter script for opening up the report. And after that, you have to create a scenario with 100 users invoking that report. So the number of users is really important in your performance testing scenario. So what is the number of users? Duration. How long you want to run the test? How long you want to execute the test? Is it 1 hour, half an hour, like that? So those people who are already in performance testing, you know that there are different types of performance tests, like load test, stress test, where you stress the application, endurance, where you run the test for 10 hours, 12 hours, like that. Okay. So duration. So these all parameters makes a performance testing scenario. What is the workflow that you want to test with? What is the number of users that you want to test with? What is the duration? And also the test data. So when you run a single user script, you only need one username, one password, one test data like that. Give me a moment. But when you move to a performance testing, you know that if you want to test 1,000 user test, you need to get 1,000 usernames, 1,000 passwords, and different data setups. Test data that is also coming inside the workflow, that is the JMeter script. You have to handle your test data in your script. Okay. So how can we create such a performance testing scenario in JMeter? So let's put some numbers to make this more precise. So in this case, we have a script called add to cart, which we already created. That is done. So we have already created a script for adding to cart, and the script is done, and the script is fine in JMeter. So that is done. So what is the number of users? So let's run this test for 5 users. Okay. So let's see what is the response of the application when we run it for 5 users, and let's run it for some 5 minutes. So this is the scenario which you are going to create. Okay. So to create this scenario, we have to go back to a thread group. As I said, when I say thread group, that is a group of users, virtual users. So what is your user interactions, the user load and everything you have to define in your thread groups. You can have multiple thread groups under a test plan, or you can have a single one. Okay. So the number of threads I'm giving here as 5, because that is a requirement that we have written right now. Ramp up period. You know that when some 100 people, when some 1,000 people acts on an application, it's not like the 1,000 people are hitting the application at the same point of time. It's like students coming into a classroom. 10 people will be coming very first. So when you start the test, there will be 10 users. After 5 minutes, there will be 100 users. After 10 minutes, there will be 250, then 500, then and after 15 minutes only we have 1,000 users on the system. That period is called ramp up. You are ramping up your users. You're slowly adding your users. So what is a ramp up? And it's a very interesting calculation in JMeter also. So if you put 10 here, you're telling JMeter that your ramp up time is 10 seconds. So what happens is JMeter will divide this ramp up seconds with your number of users. That is 10 by 5. So it gets 2 seconds. So for every 2 seconds, JMeter will be adding a user. I'll explain. So if you put 10 seconds in ramp up, and if you put 5 as a number of users, JMeter will find it out how much time is required for each of the users. So here 10 by 5 is 2. So for every 2 seconds, JMeter is going to add a user. So as soon as you start your test, one user will be there. After 2 seconds, second user will start. And after 4 seconds, third user will start. So likewise, JMeter goes. So this is what a ramp up is now. Okay. And duration you can give in different ways. The first one is iteration, loop count. You don't know how much time you want to execute, but you want to run the script for 100 iterations or 1,000 iterations. You put the iterations count here. And if you want to define a specific time, you check the infinite checkbox, and you check this specify thread lifetime, and you put some 120 seconds here. That means 2 minutes. It reads in seconds. That is 2 minutes. Okay. So now I have created my thread group with 5 users, ramp up period of 10, and I'm having a duration of 120 seconds. So now I have created a scenario where I'm going to hit 5 users, and I'm going to run it for 120 seconds. That is 2 minutes. Let's put it as 600 seconds. Let it run for some time. And I have a ramp up of 10 seconds. I'm telling JMeter that don't blindly start with 5 users. You put a step-by-step order. You slowly add the users, and we can see that. Okay. And while running it, I think we can disable the view results tree. And I'm going to add few more reports, that is listeners. So if you want to see how the application is performing, you have to add proper listeners to your script. So the first listener I'm adding is a summary report. So you could see that the summary reports will tell you what is the average, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, and etc. and everything. And I'm going to add a listener called Guys, can you hear me now? Anyone?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, apologies for that. A power failure. So I have to switch my network. So, okay. So this is the aggregate report. So we have two reports in place, and now let's run the script and let's see how the results are coming up. So as I shown, there are two options are there. You can directly come here and you can start your test, and here also you can start your test. So there are two options are there. So I'm going to start my test, and let's see how this is happening. So you could see that now already the three users are in place, the fourth user. So here you get the user count. If you look at the right top corner, you can see that out of the 5 users that we have given, 5 users are running without a problem. And now let's come to this transaction. So let me group them. So if you look at, you could see that the app launch has been executed 15 times. It's only 30 seconds of our test, but already the app launch has been requested by 19 times. And this is the average response time that we are getting. So it's all in milliseconds. So on an average, it's taking around 1.6 to 7 seconds to load the app launch page. If you look at the MacBook link, so 5 users are hitting that MacBook at the same point of time, and 2.5 seconds is taken on an average to get the response. Similarly, return. So these are the response times that we get when we run it as a test. So the summary report shows you the average, min, max, and standard deviation. And if you go to your aggregate report, that gives you an extra leverage of more analysis. It shows you lines like 90, 95, 80% line. All those things can be explained on our advanced training. So we can look for further sessions. Okay. So this is how simply you can do a JMeter script and you can run a test. So this is a very basic one. So now I am going to show you how you can enhance your script. Okay, so I hope now all of you have an idea about how to record using JMeter, how to convert it as a script, and how to create a scenario and how to run it. So now let's stop this one and now let's enhance the script. As I know, as you all know, the one which we recorded is a very basic one. So we don't have made any enhancement to the script. So now we are going to enhance our script. So the first thing what we want to do is in our script, what we did was we selected MacBook. So every people are going behind MacBook. So we have given 5 users. So all the 5 users are going to check with the MacBook one. But that is not the scenario when actually happens. So when we actually test the application, some of the people will be going for MacBook. Some of the people will be going for iPhone. Some of the people will be doing some searches. So there are different scenarios. So how can we enhance it? That is where the parameterization comes into picture. So JMeter scripts can be converted as data driven, where you can send data from CSV files. Okay. So if you look at the MacBook Click, if you look at the MacBook Click request, you could see that there is an ID, there is a product ID that is being sent with. So whenever you send a product selection request, a product ID is sent with it, that is 43. So we can see that 43 is the product ID of MacBook. So if instead of this 43, if you can give another ID, for an example, 41, 45, JMeter will be sending a request for a different product ID. So that is where the parameterization come into picture. So what we need to do is, in our script, wherever this 43 is been hard-coded, we want to convert that into a parameter. So that when I run the script for 5 users or 10 users, I can search different products. You got me. So how can we do that? For that, we have to use a config element. So let me add a config element here. So I'm going to add under the thread group, I'm going to add. So here I am coming to a config element. So inside the config element, the very first one is a CSV dataset config. As the name suggests, the CSV dataset config helps you to play around with the CSV files, that is the Excel sheets. Okay. So now I am going to create a CSV file. So I want to know what are the IDs which have to be sent with. So I have already taken note of IDs. So MacBook is 43. We have 40, 42, 30. I think 40 is for the iPhone. So like that. So let us create a CSV file first with the IDs that we want to send. For that, I'm going to create a CSV file. Yeah. So I'm going to create an Excel sheet, but I'm going to convert it with a CSV. So I'm putting it as test data source. Okay. So now let's add all these values into it. That is 43, 40, 42, and 30. Okay. 43 I'm putting, 42, 40. One more was there, 30. So now I have given all the IDs. So these are the 5 products that is there in the application. So now I have given all the product IDs here, and I am going to put it like this. So I'm going to close it, and I'm going to save it as a CSV file. Okay. Yes. So this is a CSV file. So if you open it with the notepad, you could see that all. Oh my God. Let me do it in a proper way. Yes. Forty, 42, 43, and 30. And I'm going to save this as a CSV file. Yeah. So now you could see that there is a CSV file which has been saved here. Test source CV. So if you go to edit notepad, you can see that always remove the last line that can be sent with your script as a null. Okay, 40, 42, 43, 40 is there. I hope that is the correct ones. Yes. So now we have created the test data source file. So now what we need to do is we need to feed these values into a JMeter script. How can we do that? So I have already created a CSV dataset config file. So I'm naming the config file as app ID, sorry, product, right? Product ID source. So now I am done with my naming. So now here you can give the file name. So I can go browse and I can select the file. And CSV file, you make sure that the CSV really comes here because the path has to be complete. So the entire path has to be copied to this CSV config file, and you put the variable name here. So now we have configured that CSV file with JMeter. Now you put the variable name. So variable name, I am giving a like product ID hash. So this is my variable name, and ignore the first line if you want to ignore the first line. For an example, the test data file that you have kept, if you are giving a header in that file, you can ignore, you can put this as false. I'll show you if it makes you sound confused. So as of now, I haven't given any header here. So if I'm giving a header here like this, ID like this, you can select that ignore true. In this case, I haven't given any headers, so I don't want that option in JMeter. So if you have a header line there, you can keep it as true so that JMeter will avoid that header line and it will only take from the second line. So here I'm giving it as false and allow quoted data. I don't want that. Recycle at the end of the value. Maybe you have some 10 parameters, but you have some 50 users. So you have to enable this recycle true. Otherwise, after the first 10 users of your JMeter will take the value, the remaining 40 users will be running out of value. Okay. And if the values, there is also a stop thread. For an example, your test data finishes. As I said, only 10 test data is there. You have given it for 50 users. So the first 10 users will get the test data. What the 11th user is going to do, the value is already finished. So you can stop it like that. Okay. So now you have configured the CSV. So now you told JMeter that there is a CSV file. And from the CSV file, I want to take the data and I have to use it as a variable. So now we have given the test data source. And now we have given the variable name. So now you have to replace this variable to the product ID wherever it is referring to. So in our case, there are 2 areas where we are referring the product ID. So this is the first one. So how can you give a variable name in JMeter is $curly braces, close that curly braces. Similarly, you come down here, there is also a product ID, and you can do this like this. Okay. And wherever the product ID has been referring, you can replace it with the variable name. And there are easiest ways where you can do that. So you can easily go and here, you can search and replace. But I just want to show you guys that that product ID can be referred in number of places. It's not like a single place. Yes, it's true that we have clicked on the button only once. But in JMeter, that product ID can be getting referred in number of places. So you have to replace all those references. Okay. So now we have replaced the product ID, and now let's see whether our parameterization is working fine or not. So I'm going to run it for a single user, and I'm going to give 4 iterations. Okay, so let's see how this is getting executed. So initially we have scripted for MacBook. So now you could see that our script has selected iPhone because we are sending ID 40. Okay, so this is the first value from our variable file. And let's see what is the second value. So second time it is sending 42 and the response is coming up with Apple Cinema 30. That is a different product. Yeah. And the next time it is coming up with Intel Core Duo processor. This is a MacBook. And here it was, it should be, yeah, Apple Cinema. The last one is another product, it should be Canon. Yeah, Canon EOS 5D. How we convert a hard-coded value into a variable. So when we scripted initially in our script, that variable name, the product ID was not a variable, so that all the script, all the users were going behind the MacBook. So now we have defined a variable and we have defined the product ID as a variable and we have given 4 values. So you could see that in 4 iterations, JMeter takes 4 value. And if you run this as a test, the application will be getting requests on different products. So that means we are emulating a real-time behavior. We are trying to create a real user there. Okay. So now let's run this again for 5 users so that we can get a different diversity of request. And now we are good with the variables. Now let's add some timers to it. As I was explaining, timers are really important between your transactions. So you have seen the previous summary report. So it goes very quickly. Requests are sent one by one. JMeter is not waiting. So as soon as it gets the response, it fires the next request. But that is not the real case. When real users are using the application, they will taking a post time. They will taking a think time between their transactions. So how can we define it? So for that, we can add timers into our script. So I'm going to add a timer here. Right click. You go to a timer and you can put a constant timer or you can put a random timer. So in this case, I'm putting a constant timer and I'm dragging in between app launch and MacBook click, and I'm putting it as 1 second. So after doing the app launch, my JMeter users are going to wait for 1 second before they fire the MacBook click. And again, in between the MacBook click and add to cart, I'm going to add one more timer, that is a random timer. Okay. So here the conditions are different because after selecting the product, people might be thinking whether we should add it to the cart or not. Sometimes people might be making some longer think time between adding the product to the cart. So here we can give a random delay like this. Okay, random delay maximum value we can give like 5 seconds, and constant delay also if you can put. Even if you don't put, that is fine. So if I'm putting like 3000 here, so the delay, the random delay is going to be happen between 3000 and 5000. So one time maybe JMeter will be putting 4 seconds as a think time. Second time he will be putting 4.5 seconds. So that gives us a random nature. That gives us the real user behavior. Not every people are going to wait 5 seconds. Some people might be very quick. Some people might be very slow. So that is where this random, uniform random timer comes into picture. So now I have added it, and now I'm going to add one more counter here, where I'm going to give 3 seconds. Okay, so now I have added timers. So earlier, when we do a scripting, we haven't done anything, any enhancements on it, and we simply run it. And we see that it was very quick. So now we have converted a variable. So now we have converted a hard-coded value into a variable. So now our script is more realistic. And now we have added timers so that our users are gonna behave like the actual real human users. Okay. Now let's see how this is gonna work. So I'm again going to back my settings, which is 5 users, 10 ramp up, and let it run for infinite. We can stop it whenever you want. And if you look at the summary report, you could see that now the number of transactions which are getting completed is going to be a slightly slow. See, it's not that very quick because we have added timers into it. So all the JMeter users are spending some time before going to another transaction. So after doing the app launch, they are waiting for 1 second. And after doing the MacBook click, they are waiting for some second. So you could see that there are timers in place. So this is how we make the performance test scenario more realistic. So try to make it as much close to your real user interactions. Okay. So these are the very basic enhancements that we can do in our JMeter scripts. And going to the reports. Now let's discuss more about the listeners. So if you look at the summary report, you could see that there is an average response time. So how are we averaging it out? So 2.4 seconds is the average time taken for the MacBook click. So you know that we are running it for 5 users. And these 5 users are going to hit the system for different times, n number of times. So when you run it with some 1,000 users, the number of requests that you are going to generate is going to be really high. So you cannot go behind each and every request. How much time has taken by this, taken by that, like that. So that is where the average comes into picture. So JMeter tells you on an average how the application is performing. Okay, on an average how it is performing, what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value. Like that we can generalize, like that we can analyze the application's performance. I'll make it more clear by an Excel sheet. This will help you to analyze your JMeter results. Okay, so let's take some values: 10, 12, 14, 15, 9. So this is a different range. So from this results, you could see that the very minimum value we took is 2 seconds. So if you look at the JMeter results, you could see that there is a minimum value. See, if you look at the JMeter graphs, there is a minimum value. So if you have run the iteration for, if you have run the script for 10 times, so these are the response times that you get. But you want to take a call on application's performance. So this is the minimum response time. So out of the 10 requests, 1 request has been successfully completed in 2 seconds. So 2 seconds comes into the minimum. But when you say 2 seconds is a minimum, that is not the actual performance of the application. So the actual performance of the application really depends on the average. And if you look at the maximum value taken on this test was 15 seconds. So the difference between 2 and 15 is really high. So some point of time, the application was very fast, and another point of time, the application was very slow. But on an average, if you look at, you could see that the average response time of the application is 10 seconds. So how we interpret our performance test results? So if we have this many results with us, the average value, that means majority of the results was towards 10 seconds. So on an average, we can say that the application is taking around 10 seconds, It can be 11, 12, or it can be 8, 9. But out of the total results, there was one value that goes like 15. So that is standing very close to 10. So there is one value that is the maximum value, that is 15 seconds. But the lower value was very low, 2 seconds. So that gives you a hint saying that you just need to go and check that whether there is any errors. Because on an average, the application is taking 10 seconds to perform, and only one value that goes very low, that is 2 seconds. So it can be either an error or it can be the very fast performance of the application. So this is how we interpret our results. So blindly, we cannot say that the application is good or bad. You look at your results, you look at your average. So the average value gives you an idea about how the application is performing. Look at the maximum value, look at the minimum value. That's how we interpret our performance testing results. And in JMeter, we have some more values, that is 90% line, 95% line, 80% line. So in this case, if you take out the 99% line will be. So what JMeter does is JMeter will be filtering these values. So JMeter will filter out the value from ascending to descending, and the highest value goes to the 100%, the very low value goes to the 99%, and the very next value goes to the 98%. Okay. So what JMeter does is, if you take the example of 100 values, JMeter will sort the values in terms of the lower to higher, and the very high value goes to the 100% line. The very next one goes to the next below one goes to the 99% line, and the 10th value, that is the 90th value, goes to the 90th% line. So how this helps is not only the maximum, but the very near values also you can judge. So based on this average, 90%, 99%, and minimum and maximum, you will be able to exactly picturize how your application is performing. So what I'm going to say that if you get a very good average response time, don't think that your application is performing well. It can be because one or two your applications got crashed and they are very low response time, so that it can crash your average. So whenever you look at your performance test results, always go behind average, min, maximum, and if possible, go to the 90% and 99% line. Okay, and I think questions we can keep at the end of the session. So I'll add few more things on top of this. So as I said, I think now we have gone through the HTTP samplers. Like this is a sampler that we were discussing about. So you know that this is an HTTP request. Similarly, different samplers are there. I'll show you a few more samplers quickly. And if you go to, as I said, if you want to add a JDBC sampler, like if you want to directly test your database, so this is a JDBC request where you can give the query type. So any select statement, updates, or procedures, that you can put it over here, and you put all the connection strings here. So here you can put the connection strings. Okay, and here you can give the handle type of values. So this is how we create JDBC request. So if you want to create a JDBC request, you have to add a JDBC driver to it. So these are the different sampler set, and I'll tell you a couple of config elements as well. So I'm adding a cache manager. So this is another config elements. So what these config elements are basically, I'll put the very latest example of the React.js application. So some of you will be working in React.js application, though those people will know how a React.js application works. So I'm calling a home page, and that home page is developed on React.js. So I'll be downloading some .js files. So those .js files will be getting downloaded, and they will be getting cached. So second time when I call that page, those resources will not get downloaded because they are already cached. And until and unless we clear the cache, they will be working from the cache. Okay, so that caching mechanism is there in place to improve the performance. So every time if we go and download the JS file, the response time is going to be really high. I'll explain it more. So for an example, we have 5 JS. So I'm calling a home page, and these 5 JS files are getting downloaded, and it takes around 2 to 3 seconds. So every time when I call that page, this 2 to 3 seconds is coming as a headache. So what we do is we will cache those JS files. And first time we get the 5 seconds, but second time we get the response in 2 seconds. It's very fast. Why? Many of those are getting cached, and the application is working from the cache. So how can we test this application? So you have to cache things. So this JMeter will give you config elements where you can cache. So if you select this checkbox, JMeter will clear the cache. Every time JMeter will clear the cache. It will be like a fresh cache. But if you want to keep the cache and run the test, you uncheck it, so that JMeter will not clear the cache. And you can also put the number of elements in cache limit. Similar for cookie manager, if you want to clear the cookie or not to clear. So those kind of configurations, you have to give it to JMeter. And one more thing which I would like to explain is a header manager. So this is the HTTP request. But if you look at the view results tree, and those people who already know the HTTP management, each of the HTTP requests goes with a header value. So JMeter also keeps a header value separate. So this is the header manager. So a web request will be complete when it comes with a proper header manager. So this is the request that we send, and this is the header manager that we support. So we can directly edit the header manager in JMeter. So if there are any parameters which has to be sent through the headers, you have to edit it here. Okay, all these are editable fields. So you can easily edit and change the values over there. So sometimes the parameterizations can be needs to be done on the header files. So at this point of time, don't get confused. You can actually edit on the header files. So these are the config elements and assertions. All those details, I think they need some advanced sessions. So those kind of things, I think we can plan for the sessions, or else if you go for extended learning with JMeter with Performance Complete, I think you'll get a broader picture about all these assessment analysis and everything. And one more thing which I would like to add very quickly, because I would like to wrap the session in 2-3 minutes. So as of now, we haven't added any logic controllers into the script. So I'll quickly add a logic controller and I'll make it clear for you. So to add a logic controller, you can go here. So you have n number of logic controllers, like if condition you can add, while you can add. So many logic controllers are there. So very easily we can add a loop controller. So I am keeping this loop controller on top of my MacBook, and I'm keeping this MacBook and add to cart and return inside my loop controller. So if you look at, you could see that in my workflow, I'm doing an app launch and I'm doing a loop controller and I'm putting it like this: MacBook, add to cart and return. So all of them are added inside this. So let me, okay. So I'm again going to run back. So how this loop controller works is, if I put this loop controller as 5 times, so JMeter will be calling the app launch only once, and after the app launch, JMeter will be continuously running the loop. That means JMeter will not be running the app launch until the loop is complete. So that is what a loop controller is all about. So similarly, you can have if controllers, if conditions, while uh, all these logic controllers are to enhance your script. So if you look at, you could see that the app launch is only called once. After that, the app launch is not called because we have entered the loop. The loop is keep on running. Okay, and similarly, you can add if conditions. Like if you go to an if condition, you could see that you have to write the conditions in Java. So for an example, customer creation. So there are two workflows. One is for a normal customer creation, and the second loop is when it is a minor. So if you have a separate flow for a minor customer, you can put it in an if condition. You create the JMeter script and you write an if condition with the date of birth. You validate the date of birth, and if it go to minor, you switch to the second flow, or else you go with the normal flow. So likewise, you can do if, while. So many features are there. I know that I have only touched the basic features of JMeter. There are so many features in JMeter which you can make utilize of. I think all the sessions, I think you can connect with Performance Complete, or maybe we can plan for further sessions. So I think in a nutshell, I would like to know that you people got an understanding about what is JMeter, what is the use of JMeter, how can we use it, how can we download it, how can we do a script recording, and how can we run a test, how can we add a loop, and how can we add a variable into it. Okay, so I think that's all for today's session. So we planned it as a beginner one. So if any person who was really good in JMeter, I know that these are the basic stuff for you. So I think we can have further more explorations in further sessions on the more advanced side. So I'm done with that. I think we can leave it for the Q&A sessions, and I could see the stats as well. Yeah. Thanks, Varun. Now only I saw this, but appreciate your response. Smita, you there? I'll leave it for the Q&A sessions now.
Yeah. Please go ahead with the Q&A, guys. You may unmute or you can use the chat window.
Yeah.
I'll read out the question
both.
from Facebook Live if any. Okay.
Yeah, sure, Smita. Yes, I could see a couple of questions from the chats. Mohammed Sharin, can you brief on throughput? So throughput is having different aspect, Mohammed. So in some tools, throughput is shown as the bytes. That is the number of requests that is been sent. So in JMeter, if you look at the throughput, that is actually the transactions that are getting processed. Okay. So let me show that to you. So if you look at the throughput, you could see that here actually it is the number of transactions. So if you're watching here, you could see that if the MacBook link, for an example, this MacBook click link is working with a response time of 2.4 seconds, we can complete 6.8 transactions in a minute. So that's how throughput is defined in JMeter. But if you go to some other tools, their throughput actually tells you that bytes that is getting transferred. But in JMeter, it is the transactions per second. So it's a projection. If the average response time for this transaction is for an example, 2.4 seconds, you can get 6.8 in a minute. Okay. Can test React Native application using this? Yes. I was explaining that. So the React, couple of great question that is. So React is a technology which is keep on evolving. So if you know more about React.js, you could see that it uses some lazy loading, like elastic loading. So parallel loading are there. So when I hit an application page on React.js, it will be firing a couple of APIs. For an example, 5 APIs will be fired. Out of the 5 APIs, 1 or 2 APIs will be getting initiated parallelly. So that is something which is very tricky. So to handle that, you have to use some plugins in JMeter. By default, JMeter doesn't have that ability, but you can enhance JMeter. It's like adding booster. It's like adding nitro to your car. So you can add those plugins. So that plugins will enable JMeter to initiate APIs in parallel. So React.js native applications can be tested with this. Absolutely, yes. Can we give a different column number and name to get input from CSV for a variable? Yes. You can use multiple columns in a CSV. You can keep the same CSV file. You can give a multiple parameters. So what you can do is you can just comma separately. You can give the variable name. For an example, like you have 3 variables. You keep values in 3 different columns. You put the variable names comma separated in JMeter. It will pick. But make sure that your CSV config file is common to thread group, or it is available for that particular transaction controller. Next one, that's for Bhargav. Kiran, you can call me Arun. There is another way of recording scripts using BlazeMeter. My question is, which is actually good? The normal way of using. I always prefer doing it with JMeter because you can control. You can control your recordings. Even in between your recordings, you can actually see whether it is getting recorded or not. BlazeMeter, you have to create. Let me tell you the privacy aspect as well, because BlazeMeter is a different entity. It's a different company. So before testing your application with BlazeMeter, you have to make sure that your security is not a concern, because your script actually goes to their website and comes from there. So they actually process your script and send it to you. So that is one thing. So if you're using it for your firm, your employer, you make sure that you communicate it properly. Otherwise, you need to purchase BlazeMeter. And second thing is, both are same, but I always try BlazeMeter if the normal JMeter recording is not working for me. So I know that BlazeMeter gives you a more easiest way of doing it, but filters is something which is not available in there. So if you're recording in BlazeMeter, I think you have to put a bit more work in JMeter, refining your script, removing all the unwanted ones, all those kind of things. So both are good. It's up to you. Where can we add James George? Where can we add additional code? Different options are there. So
Are you on mute? Hello, we can hear you, Arun. Hello. Yeah, now.
Smita, am I audible still?
Yeah, now you're audible. Previously, you were not. Now you're audible.
Okay, fine. So we can give number of users. That is not a problem. So even if it is working with tokens, there is a functionality called correlations. So this correlation will be handled in JMeter, and even if it is token, session ID, anything that comes up, that can be handled in JMeter. Not a problem. Not at all a problem. So let me pull this up. Can we test reports, measure average time taken to load it? Vinita, I didn't get your question. Can we test reports contains millions of data and measure average time taken to load it? I didn't get your questions, Vinita. Could you please elaborate it? Yeah, Bhargav, good question. Yeah, George, I'm coming to it. So Bhargav, in Jenkins, you can write a pipeline script, and with that pipeline script, actually you can connect with JMeter. So there are some Jenkins hooks are there. So by directly writing the pipeline script, you can run the command prompts, commands JMeter. For an example, by easily running some command prompt lines, you can run JMeter test. The same command prompt lines can be ran from Jenkins using a pipeline script. So it's like creating a pipeline and connecting with the JMeter. Both Jenkins and JMeter should be sharing the same network, and there won't be any communication problem. So that is possible. So Jenkins and JMeter connected through the pipeline scripts and the hooks. Okay. Do we have any recordings of this? I don't have any idea.
We can share the recording.
There
It's
can be
available.
additional code. Was
Yeah.
it not able? Yo, sorry, I'm really sorry, James George. So there is a bean. I hope I'm audible now. So there is a bean shell sampler. So inside the bean shell sampler, you can add additional code. So you can add shell script or say JavaScript. So any kind of scripts you can add it over there, and that will be getting. Not all languages are supported by JMeter, but most of them are supported by JMeter. So you can use that bean shell sampler. You just search for bean shell sampler, and inside that you can write the additional code. Sorry, James George. Is there any way to export the JML scripts a human readable format like XML or JSON? The full script file doesn't make sense. That's a tough one. I don't think so. I don't think so, Hazim, because you want to open that in an XML or a JSON file, because JMeter has a very beautiful UI, so it's pretty straightforward one. I don't have I don't have any of that, and I don't that. But anyway, I'll have a check on that. So can you let me know why you want to analyze a script like that? Oh. This would help you in tracking changes from a as of now, I don't think. Okay. That is something which I would take a read and come back, Hazim. Hazim, we will get back to you, Hazim, with the details if there are any possibilities. But I think the UI of JMeter is pretty straightforward, and I think you can easily handle it. And And for version control also, you can keep the scripts. You can directly link it with GitHub, Bitbucket, wherever you want. So I think you want to make a note of the changes that goes in with a text file comparison, right? So that we'll come back to you on that. So any questions I missed? Jenkins pipeline. To Bhargav, so that Jenkins pipeline, I simply said in one line, but that required some configurations. So, but you have to be good with pipeline scripts. So if you have the pipeline scripts in place, you can easily connect JMeter with Jenkins, and actually you can give the variables also from Jenkins, like the number of users, duration, all those can be created as parameters in Jenkins. To that level, integration is possible. You just explore. It's going to be really interesting. Vinita, I didn't get your question. So uh, if you can unmute and ask, that will also do good. Or you can average time. Whether you are talking about, you have a very big report and you want to know how much time is taken to load it. In that case, yes, it's possible. The download time we can see in JMeter. How much time is taken to download the entire report, that will be shown in JMeter. Yeah, we can see that. And it is a very big report. In some cases, you have to do some scripting techniques like increasing the wait time, idle time of JMeter. Those kind of things you may need to apply if your report takes around some 10 to 15 minutes. By default, 120 seconds JMeter waits. So we just need to update it. Okay. I think Smita, all the questions are addressed in the chat window. And anything from the other communities?
I copied one question from the Facebook Live to here. I think you have already answered that, and I have shared the recording too. So, guys, any questions you may unmute and ask.
So Arun, I have a question on the delays which we put between transactions. Is it audible, Arun? Hello.
So thank you all. So special thanks to all the people who attended this webinar.
Sorry, Arun.
For setting this up
asked.
for the 20, and thank you Performance Complete for such an opportunity. So guys, you can take a note of this. So anyone wants to upskill, you can connect with Performance Complete. So they will be providing the complete sessions and all the possible solutions of your technical concerns. Okay, you can make a note of it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, one more question, please. Any more questions came up? Can you please put on the chat window?
There was one question somebody opened up, but yeah, can you go ahead, please?
Yeah, Arun, can you hear me now? Arun?
I can hear you. Can you type it in the chat window? Maybe he is not hearing you.
Yeah, I could see whether test plans built using JMeter are OS dependent. Test plans are not OS dependent. I think the entire JMeter tool is OS dependent. So if you take JMeter from your Apple, something like that, you have to use different. There's a different options for JMeter. Like in Windows, you have to click on the bat file, but at the same time, if you look at from a different machine, you have to open with a different bat file. So the entire tool is OS dependent, not the test plan itself. So the JMeter version, the test plan, everything that I have shown in this presentation was for the Windows machine. So if you move with the Apple or if you move with the Linux, slightly differences will be there. Yes, but nothing specific to test plan. So it's like in which environment you want to test it, you have to So that is the flexibility of JMeter that you have. So you can easily take JMeter to your machine and you can configure it over there. So it's not like it has been installed in one place and you have to create routes to those machines like that. Nothing like that. Whichever machine that you want to work with, you take JMeter there and just unzip it and you start working on it. The only dependency is Java, no other dependencies. And I have seen dependencies in proxy settings, because if you have too many open source applications running in your machines, then the port might be busy. That is the only place where you can get a slight hiccup. So you make sure that the port that you give for JMeter is free for him. So he'll take care of it. Other than that, there is no dependency. Sandhya, I have a question on the delays between transactions. If you need me to measure only the rendering time, do we need to put? No, we don't have to. The delays is actually to make it more realistic, like a real user. The reason why is when we say 50 users in JMeter, that is actually not 50. It is actually more than 50 real users. So when 50 human beings sit on top of an application, actually the load that on the application is really different, because the 50 people might be having different speeds, different requests. So the load will be really different. But when we say 50 users from JMeter, actually they hit the system. So the load is going to be different. That is where we put delays and make it more realistic. It's completely your call. So if you are testing APIs all and all, no, we don't put the delays. We keep on firing it. It's like tuck, 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 keep on firing. So it's up to you. So if you want to measure the rendering times, don't put the delays. No worries at all. And just to add, by default, JMeter comes with so many options, but BlazeMeter community provides lots of plugins to JMeter. So lots of plugins to JMeter. So based on your needs, you can add plugins. So JMeter has a plugins manager. So in that plugins manager, you can go and add those plugins. And one more thing to Hari Krishnan. So if you want to measure the rendering time, there is a WebDriver plugin available for JMeter. So in that if you add that WebDriver plugin, you can actually add code to your JMeter script. It will be exactly like Selenium script. So you can get the exact rendering time. So you just read a bit more on the WebDriver element for JMeter. I think that will give you the exact rendering time. Cheers, Hari Krishna. Anything else?
I think we can wind up. Can it be used for functional
Yes,
testing also?
yes, of course. But functional testing is also possible. Absolutely. It can be treated like Selenium itself. That is where the assertion. So I haven't shown the assertions today because the time is very limited. So I thought of covering all the basic needs. So in JMeter, you can write conditions, you can validate. Absolutely, you can use it for functional testing. So it's your call whether you have to go with Selenium or with JMeter. And as I just explained right now, we can. There is a WebDriver element also. That is almost like Selenium. So you can write code and you can go through the websites. Thank you, Hiranmai. That sounds good to me as well. Thank you, Jay and George. Great questions. I know that you people are on top of JMeter, so great questions. Keep on learning and keep on exploring, and always you can make use of performance complete.
And I
okay,
think
then
it's the end of the questions.
Thank you. So I think we can wrap it up.
Right, yeah.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I know that I took your morning half. So thank you so much. Keep on learning, keep on exploring JMeter. And thank you, Smita, once again for this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Arun, and thanks, Performance Complete.
So,
yeah, so tomorrow we have one more session. So
yes, everyone,
yeah,
have a great evening.